If you can do 3 pull-ups, then you can do a muscle up. I've helped hundreds of people get their first muscle up at CaliUnity, and these are the top 3 tips that I've used myself, but I've also coached to members here at CaliUnity. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'll even give you a bonus tip that shaved months off of my journey. So, tip number 1 is make sure you're using a false grip. The best way to learn the false grip is really simple. Grab the rings next to the straps like this, and then bring it down, just like that. And now you can see that I'm in this position here. The reason why we use the false grip is if I was doing a muscle up, and I was gonna come up with a normal grip, then how do I get through the middle? I can't. Okay, but if I'm in this position, now I can actually come through the middle in the muscle up because I'm already in that dip position. Another good way of learning it is making fists, punching through the middle, and then placing your wrists down on the rings, and then grabbing it just like so, okay? And if you look closely, another really good tip that I always like to think of is thumb facing down when I do that, and all of the weight should be in your wrists, okay? So just to look at the false grip, I'd work on, if this is your first time doing it, I'd work on a false grip hang, so we're hanging in that position, okay? If that feels hard, work up to that, build that up, maybe go for a 10-second hold, go from there. If that starts to feel easy, then you can start working on false grip pull-ups, okay? So it's coming down and up, working on that position again, and this will come in the next drill, but thinking about this chest up position, okay? Tip number 2 is it's all about your hip positioning. Hip positioning, back positioning overall. So if you were to do a muscle up like this, okay, it would just be all arms. Almost impossible. I know some people who can do it, but you've got to be really, really, really strong. What I like to think about is move your body around the rings. And so you almost want to imagine that you're coming up here, going around the rings, then we're going to go up and over to here, and then push up from there. So this is almost building on from the false grip tip, which is you want to make sure that your shoulders are back and down like this. Start off with the hips are forward, butt is squeezed forwards, shoulders are back and down, and then when you go forwards, your shoulders should be dropped, sorry, rounded, your hip should be back, and now you're in that dip position. So to bring it all together, we're here, our shoulders are back and down. Here, we come down, look where my hips are, they're forwards. Then I come forwards, and now I'm in this position here, where my hips are back, my core is up and engaged, my elbows are tight, and I'm working on that position there, okay? So again, it's thinking about shoulders back and down, and then rather than thinking about pulling yourself through the middle, you're thinking about pushing your hips back to pull yourself through the middle in that one, okay? The third tip for the muscle up is it's all in where you're looking. So let's build on these 2 tips. Number 1, you make sure you've got the false grip. You have to do that. Number 2, you make sure that your shoulders are back and down, and as you're coming through the middle, you're switching that. Now, a really good way to build on that is also making sure that you're looking at the rings, and as you go through the transition, you look at the floor. Okay, so from the start, I'm looking at the rings, I've got my false grip, I then look up at the rings, that forces me into this kind of like shoulders back and down posture. As I come up through the middle, I then look down, and that forces me to get my chest through the middle, and it forces me to go through the middle of that muscle up, okay? So you're looking up at the rings, and then you're pushing yourself through. This leads me to the last and final tip. I did say if you stay to the end, you get my extra tip. Imagine that you've got 2, you see almost like the wooden beams on either side. Think of them as train tracks running along the rings. So imagine the straps come down, and these are your train tracks. you don't want your elbows to touch those. What I see a lot with people is they do a muscle up and then they do this and they try and flare their elbows, and what that leads to is like the chicken wing, one over, one over. If you've done the previous 3 drills of shoulders back and down, false grip, looking up, you'll be in this position. So now all you need to do is keep your elbows tight, come through the middle, and that will then bring you into that muscle up position. Rather than if I have no false grip and I'm coming up here, I have to almost chicken wing, elbow high, come through the middle in order to get any kind of like pushing through the middle. Okay? If that helped you, down in the description below, I've got a 50-page ebook guide on helping you get your muscle up, and an even more in-depth video on getting the muscle up. It's all in the description below, and if you want even more information, guide, and resources, head over to the Bodyweight Movement School community, where you can meet other people just like you who are getting into bodyweight training and access all of our resources online for free. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you know anyone else who is working on the muscle up, make sure to share this with them. And if you liked it, please do leave a like, comment, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Great stuff, guys. See you in the next video.